Hello and welcome back to our tutorial on Crusader Kings 2. I'm your host Imperialis, and after the last rather interesting episode, we are now King Domnall of Tara, with King Murkad dying after a very short reign of, I actually looked at the dates, about 2 weeks he was king. And so we are rejoining King Domnall here, and first thing we're going to have to do is take a look around at how we're set up as king. You'll notice here that we, right off the bat, have 2 options up here. First is the open council position, and so we'll deal with that first, get our house in order. You'll notice here that we've got a fair number of 2 vacant council positions and 1 terrible councillor. Our queen is our spy master. She is also the assassin that killed our father, so we'll have to decide what to do about that. And then our marshal, but we don't have a steward and we don't have a court chaplain. So let's take a look and see if we have a better chancellor, first of all, which we certainly do. We've got Aid, I think that's how you'd pronounce that, and he's a courtier in Tara. Overall, he's pretty good. He's got a diplomacy of 14, so he's certainly better than our current chancellor. So, not a huge fan of us right now, and we'll explain why we have so many people with negative opinions of us in a moment here. But we'll replace him with our chancellor, and then our marshal. Let's see if we have a better marshal. Nope, everybody... our highest martial skill is 12, so we'll leave that as is. No point in making him angry with us unless we have to. Steward is vacant, so we'll see who we can find as a steward. We've got a pretty terrible set of stewards here. Our best bet, it looks like, might be Domnall, the fellow we just fired from the chancellor position. So we'll bring him back into the fold, just shuffle him around. One rather annoying thing here is when you look at him, he's got a -20 due to being fired from the council, even though all I did was I moved him from one slot to another. We'll leave our spy master as is for now, unless there's somebody else who's vastly superior, which it doesn't look like there is. And then last up, our court chaplain. I guess Mael Duen here, Bishop of Christ's Church. We'll put him in. So we've got a reasonable council here, a little bit weak in the stewardship end of things, but that's okay. Other than that, though, they're not terrible. So we've got our council set up. Now we need to actually start assigning them. Now, my marshal is currently assigned here, and I can't move him because he would have just been sent in there. But we're going to have our chancellor continue to try and fabricate a claim on Oriel. Spy master will have scheme. I'm not going to do the build a spy network because I just took the throne. There could well be plots against me and things like that, so I'm going to have her scheme in Dublin. And then these folks, I'm going to research economic tech. Not that it's going to do a whole heck of a lot. And with my court chaplain here, I'm going to... Now, when you collect taxes, if you collect taxes from your cities or your feudal vassals, it just goes straight into your treasury. Religious vassals are a little bit different, because if we go over here and we click on the religious tab, we can see who the current pope is, Pope Alexander II. And it'll show us here what they think of the Pope and what they think of us. And if they like the Pope more than they like us, then any taxes that we would normally collect instead go to the Pope instead of us. So we aren't collecting taxes from any of our bishoprics right now, which is a little annoying. It cuts into our income a little bit, but with them loving the Pope as much as they do, he's got a score of 100 with all of, well, except for him, and we're in the negatives or single digits with everybody else, like in terms of how much they like us. Our chances of actually getting them to like us enough to give taxes is pretty slim. So, with that in mind, I'm going to go back to my council here, because I was debating having them try to improve religious relations, and he'd go around and talk to the other bishops and see if I couldn't get them to like me a bit more, but there's no way that I'd be able to pull that off with the way things are set up now. So instead, I'm just going to have him research cultural tech in Dublin. Now, you'll notice too that I tend to be focusing my counselors on Dublin. I'm assigning them all into Dublin. And that's because whatever they're doing, especially with the research, only affects that province. Technology is not a global thing. Like if you look here, Dublin has a military technology of 9, a economy technology of 12, and a cultural technology of 12. But if we look at, say, Kildare, it only has a military technology of 8, and Leinster is the same as Dublin. But these advance independently of each other. And you generally want to boost your capital first. Focus on improving that before you focus on improving other places. Your capital is kind of the one thing that you can be guaranteed never to leave your hands. And so it's valuable in that respect. Likewise, when it comes time to start building buildings and whatnot, which we will be getting to at some point here, you want to focus on building within your capital county as well. But next up, we need to take a look at what people think of us right now. And also want to check out, so I still only have the one alliance because that's the only marriage that's fired, and it's been a little while. I'm not sure if I will still get the alliances with Scotland or with Lothlorien and with Normandy, because they're my brothers and not my sons, but we'll see. So I still have the one alliance with King Bledin, but may as well look at some of these other tabs now. So relations are people that I'm related to by marriage. It'll also say friends and rivals and things like that, and this can start to fill up as the game goes on. Vassals shows all of the different vassals that I have. So I've got a couple. I'm controlling 3 counties. I have 3 mayors and 3 bishops as my vassals, and it'll show me their opinion of what they think of me. And then court shows everybody that's in my court. So this includes all my vassals as well as all my courtiers, and it shows me what they think of me as well. And if you want to find out why somebody thinks about you the way that they do, all you have to do is hover over it. So in the case of, I'm not going to do him because I can't pronounce his name. Let's go with my brother, Domnall. He's at -30 now. Why? Personal diplomacy plus 15. That's because of my personal diplomacy score. I have, however, had a short reign. Anytime you have a new person succeed the throne, you get a -16 penalty for so, and it goes away at the rate of 1 point per year. So next year it'll be -15, the year after that -14, and so on. And after it hits 0, then it turns into a long reign bonus. So it'll start ticking up. This can be problematic. Again, not so much in this situation, but once you get a bigger empire going, it can be problematic because it can cause succession wars. If there's another powerful claimant to the throne and he has allies, he might be able to get those guys on side and actually rebel against you and try and overthrow you. Not quite such a big deal if it's another member of your dynasty, but if it's somebody else, from a different dynasty, it could mean game over. Or at least reduce you back down to being a count or something like that. Now, primogeniture succession, he just doesn't like the fact that I have primogeniture. It gives him -5 on account of the fact that he's not the oldest. I am. We are from the same dynasty, so that gives a bonus. Title claimant, he has a claim to the throne, and that gives a penalty to the relationship as well. And then because I'm cruel, which is one of the traits that he has here, it also negatively affects his opinion of me. Unless he also happened to be cruel, which he's not. So, that explains that. Now, another problem that Domnall has is, if I find someone here, let's look at the mayor here. If you look down here, one of the negatives that he has is female heir. And because I only have daughters, she's set up to inherit, and because the agnatic-cognatic succession. Now, just because women can inherit doesn't mean that people like them to inherit. So it gives a penalty both to me, and if she were to assume the throne, it would give a penalty to her for being a female ruler. It's not a huge penalty, but it can still hurt you with your vassals and stuff like that. My vassal opinions at this stage of the game aren't critical. They mainly because I'm the only one with any armies. Nobody else can raise an army in rebellion. So if we look at the military here, from vassals, I could raise 3 troops, and I can raise 900 from my personal domain. So nobody's going to actually be able to raise up an army and rebel against me, but once you start dealing with other feudal vassals, that can start to become a problem. Because of how the last session ended, I think it's probably also a good time to take a look at the intrigue menu. So the way that dear old dad here died is through assassination. So was murdered on the orders of Gwendolyn Marthrafel. And she would have done that through a plot. And so I can pick a plot, but other characters can plot as well. And so in my case, I could pick a plot to try and murder my wife. I don't particularly want to do that because she's the best spy master I have, and she does still like me. But if there was major succession issues, like if something happened where she became infertile or chaste or something like that, or not even chaste, there's another one that's even worse that gives a minus 100% chance to having kids, then I could try and murder her. It's not a plot that I want to follow through with, so I'm not going to bother. But down here on this tab where it says known plots, any plots that I'm aware of will show up here. And I might start to see a few more now that I've got my spy master scheming in Dublin. She's going to keep her ears peeled and try to hear if there's anybody plotting against me. And they'll plot against each other as well. Like somebody might try to kill my daughter, or like one of my brothers might try to kill my daughter so that he has a better chance of inheriting the throne. Or kill both my daughters to try and inherit the throne. Things like that. This tab here, the factions tab, we definitely don't need to worry about until we start dealing with vassals. That's the only time it'll pop up. Now, righteous imprisonment, the second bubble here. Because she murdered my dad, I have the right to try and imprison her. So throw her in jail and kind of do what I want with her after that. Not going to, because again, I need her and she does still like me. But other than that, all we have left to do is, can we do an ambition? No, what is his ambition right now? His ambition is to have a son, which is fine. I'll leave it on that. He would have picked that before I started playing as him. But I'm fine with him wanting to have a son, because I would rather him have a son than daughters. Anyhow. So with that, we should be about ready to get started here. So we'll click play and get going. Just let time start ticking by. Still trying to fabricate that claim on Oriel. Okay, so my marshal has improved the reinforcement rate of that county now. And I'm going to see if I can't reassign him. I can't yet, not until July. So this is going to be a little bit of a consolidation period. And I have a half-sister. Oh. I guess Dad's... If you remember in an earlier episode there when Dad had the opportunity to sleep with one of his courtiers, and he did, well, there's a baby as a result of that. So she's interesting because she is a bastard. And you can either choose to acknowledge and legitimize or ignore your bastards. And in this case, I'm just gonna, well, I might legitimize her because I don't have a lot of women in my family tree. But she's also sickly, so she might not live too long. So we shall see. A slightly quieter part of the game right now. Crank up the speed a bit more. Well, it looks like Scotland sorted their rebellion out. Is he fighting anybody right now? No, he's not. Now the interesting thing is the AI did do something kind of dumb assigning the marshal here, because this county was recently conquered. It means that you get less tax and less levies from it, and as a matter of fact, the penalty is enough that the levy reinforcement rate is 0. So it won't recruit any reinforcements until that expires, which is another, just a few months, but still not the best use of a marshal. Now, just to show you something a little different, because there isn't too much else going on, under the intrigue menu here, there's other decisions you can make too, and I'm going to go on a grand hunt. It's going to cost me 25 gold, but it'll get me some prestige, and sometimes brings up interesting events. And I'm actually just going to pause the video for half a sec here because I need to blow my nose. Okay, sorry. So yeah, go on a grand hunt. I've given the order for a grand hunt to be organized in Dublin. I will find the white stag. I'm out in the woods and I see a mighty stag while my party is hunting. What are the odds? And I get a little bit of extra prestige. Oh, and that's one other thing. Because Dad died, and we're now in the second generation of my dynasty, I actually have a score. My score isn't terribly high at 422, but that will continue to accumulate as the game goes on. A white hart has been seen in the north of Dublin. I am told it is a heart of 10 and the biggest deer ever seen. So, my Chancellor, I could send him out. It'd change his opinion of me by 15 for 10 years, and I'm not sure if I would gain the 20 prestige or if he would gain the 20 prestige. But either way, that's a possibility. And then the other option is, this is my kill, I'll go after it. 65% chance of no effect, 10% chance I gain the trait Diligent, 10% chance I gain the trait, or I gain a martial, point of martial skill, 10% chance I get wounded, and 5% chance I get maimed. Well, because he's my Chancellor, and right now he doesn't like me all that much, I'm going to send him out to do it, improve his opinion with me. And the Great Hunt is over for now. And gain 10 prestige. So now, conceivably, what I could do is hold a feast. Cost me 25 gold, but it would improve my relations with my mayors and bishops and everybody like that, which is another good thing to do. Especially when you first take over, like you have a new king or a new ruler, it can be good to try and do these sorts of things, because oftentimes, first of all, you won't be doing too much else. Like you're gonna want to try and avoid getting into a lot of wars and stuff like that. And secondly, it improves. There's lots of opportunities for it to improve your relationship with your vassals. So I'm going to go for that and give orders to prepare a large feast. I'm spending lots of money doing this, but that's okay. Something else I just want to check real quick here is with my brothers, see if they are still betrothed. Doesn't say. Okay, let's see if we can't. I'm wondering if the betrothals broke because the guy who arranged them died, or if something else happened. But I want... Oh, and it would give him alliances, not me. I'm not sure I want to do that. Well, maybe I'll arrange some marriages with wives who won't get him an alliance. But instead look for stats. She's pretty good. So we'll send that off. And I'm not going to bother marrying my younger brother off just yet. Peace be with you. Accept your suggestion. They get married. That's good. Okay, no feast is complete without boar meat. Who will have the prestigious task of hunting and slaying the boars needed for the feast? I could send out my marshal. Make him like me more. Let's take a look. He doesn't think too much of me right now, so that might not be a bad idea. So I'll send out the marshal. Get him some prestige, make him like me more. The wandering minstrel entered the castle singing, and did not stop until he found me. With a flourishing bow and one long sad tone from his lute, he finished his song and asked for my patronage. I was just looking for some entertainment, my friend. Cost me a bit of gold, but that's okay. And the best part about preparing the feast is deciding what foodstuffs to serve. I must purchase venison, boar, duck, spices, wine, ale, honey for the desserts, cheeses, and perhaps even a swan or peacock. Now you can spend lavishly, spend enough, or don't spend too much. I'm just going to spend enough. I'm running very low on gold here, so I just clicked on that. Weird. Most of the preparations for the feast have been made now. I only have to send out the invitations, and I invite all of my vassals, so all 3 of the mayors and all 3 of the bishops. And he says no. So oftentimes, or sometimes, if they really don't like you, they might not show up, and that makes you like them less, which is okay. We'll improve the Sorry, it cuts me out when I autosave. I was just going to say, we'll improve the relations that we can. And welcome to my feasts. The guests have finally arrived. All is ready. The cooks have worked day and night preparing the food, and the castle has never looked lovelier. Everyone drank and were happy, except Bishop Domnall, who refused more wine. This insulting gesture means he does not appreciate my hospitality. How dare he insult me? So I'm angry at him now. And I just had a pop-up come up here. This is something that was introduced when they came out with Sons of Abraham, where you can appoint anti-popes. So Europe is about to get a whole lot more interesting. Kaiser Heinrich IV of the Holy Roman Empire has set up Pope Siegfried as an anti-pope, named Pope Honorius II. So he is now an anti-pope. And if we go to the religion tab here, Pope Alexander II is still the official pope, but Honorius II is an anti-pope, and he's ruling out of Mainz, which is right there. So, what that does is, on here, you see it has the moral authority. That's sort of the ticker of how good the church is doing overall. And with a moral authority of 53, it's not the greatest. Getting that anti-pope popping up was less than ideal. You'll also see here that there's the holy sites and that sort of stuff. Basically what moral authority does is it affects how easy it is to convert those of other religions, and affects how likely it is that heresies are going to pop up. So we might all of a sudden start seeing Lollards or Cathars or something like that popping up and rebelling in different places throughout Europe, and it can cause negative events. So having a low moral authority for your religion is generally a bad thing. But on the plus side, we do control a lot of the holy sites: Cologne, Rome, Santiago, and Canterbury. Jerusalem is not under the control of Christianity right now. It is Muslim. But other than that, we control all the Christian holy sites, and just other things like that that increase the moral authority of the church. keep time ticking forward here. Okay, the minstrel sang and the ladies wept. The minstrel sang and the lord laughed. His performance at my feast was above my expectations, and I congratulated myself for hiring him. Sing the ballad once more, please. And he really likes the minstrel, so he's going to like me more. And that's my timer, so I should probably wrap this up fairly soon. I'll just wait until the feast is over, and then I'll put a cut in. So the last of the guests has returned home, and everyone agreed it was this year's greatest feast. I had great fun, and so did everyone else. And so this will improve everybody's opinion of me for the next 2 years, and I gain a little bit more prestige. So holding feasts is basically just a way to exchange some gold as a way to improve the relationships with your vassals and gain a little bit of prestige. So with that, I'm going to put a cut in, and next episode we will continue our attempts to usurp the county of Oriel and continue our conquest of Ireland, now under King Domnall. So, like usual, please, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Cheers.